All right, guys, welcome back to Sports Betting Truth, College Basketball Model Edition, giving you a college basketball model update. Now, as I've been predicting all season long, the storm has come. If you've watched these videos, you've seen me, even when things were going very great, saying, just wait, there's going to be a downturn. It always happens. It happened to me in 2016, 2017 with my NBA model. It happened to me in 2017, 2018 with my college basketball model. Didn't do a model last year, but this year, same story. It always seems to happen late January, early February, where everything just seems to fall apart. So this is not a surprise to me. I've been expecting it. I'm not surprised. Now let's get into the numbers. So on January 13th, right here in this graph, I hit a high water mark of 69.9 units. I was almost to 70. And ever since then, it's been, I've kind of flatlined. I've alternated ups and downs and more downs than ups since that high water mark. Now, this graph right here illustrates the absolute importance of bankroll management, because it's really easy to see how things were on a sharp upward trajectory from about January 2nd all the way to January 13th, right? Where it seems like I couldn't lose. Well, it's really easy during boom periods like that to just go all in and just start breaking all your bankroll management rules, thinking you can't lose, so I might as well go all in, right? I'm leaving money on the table if I don't. That's why you don't do it. There will be a downturn. It's going to happen. No matter how good your model is, no matter how good your approach is, you are going to hit a downturn at some point that lasts for a week or two or even longer than that. So if I had gone in, for example, and broken my 20% of my bankroll rule, I'd probably be down here by now or even below zero, because investing too much of your bankroll in one day and these losing days is just going to compound. That's why you have to be disciplined and play it slow and steady and just trust that it's better off to minimize your risk than maximize your gains, because things like this is going to happen. Because of that, I've really only lost 11 units since my high water mark. And 11 units is a lot, yes, but I've basically gone from 69 units to 58 units of profit on the season. So if I were to quit today, if I were to say, I'm not betting college basketball again for the rest of the year, I would have ended the season with a 58 unit profit season. That is a huge success. Anyone would take that any day of the week. And that's why I'm better off having been conservative with my bankroll management. But I still have faith that my model is a sound one. It's a good approach. It's just in a downturn right now. I think things will fix themselves, hopefully. So since January 14th, when the downturn started, I'm 53 and 62 against the spread, minus 5.67 units. It's bad, but that's not terrible. It's not like I've lost all my money. Money line's kind of the same story, about the same loss, 71.79, minus 11.43 units total lost. For example, yesterday as a Saturday, I hit a plus 700 money line on Stetson. I was all fired up, but I still lost 2.5 units yesterday because I had 8 or 9 moneyline favorites lose. That's really been the difference since January 13th, is that usually your moneyline favorites in your model are supposed to be your firewall, right? Those are supposed to hit, and those have been carrying me all season long. I would say moneyline favorites are a bulk of my profits on the year, especially home moneyline favorites. But recently, my moneyline favorites that my model are picking are starting to lose too much. They're not going to always win, right? They're not going to win 100% of the time. You just don't want them to lose too much. And yesterday I had 8 or 9 moneyline favorite losses. I had a lot of moneyline favorite losses the other night. So it's that seems to be the difference, at least on the moneyline side, is that the favorites are starting to flounder that had been carrying me before that. Against the spread, I just seems like I can't buy a win right now against the spread. There's really no one area that's been faltering in the money line, but it's really just they're not winning, and hopefully I can get it figured out. So week by week, here's where we stand. We had gone 7 weeks in a row of winning weeks. Then we had a losing week January 16th, 22nd. We're having another losing week right now, so hopefully the storm can be weathered. Today was the first day all year where my model has not picked a game when there's more than 10 games on the slate. And that's because the model's doing so poorly right now that it can't find any keys that are loose enough to where a team will meet all those criteria. And that's not surprising. It might be like that for the next few days when there's not enough games and very strict keys, meaning there's just not going to be any games for my model to pick. And that's not a bad thing. That's what got me into trouble 2 years ago. I tried to overcomplicate things. I tried to overfit everything and really go nitty gritty and granular and switch all kinds of things up and try to find all different kinds of avenues in terms of keys, and I made it more complex than it needed to be. And I always wondered, what if I had not done all that and just stick to what I had been doing all season that got me to plus 70 units before that, right? I didn't know because I decided to make things way too complicated, and I think that's ultimately what got me in such a big hole in the month of February 2 years ago, is that I tried to make things way too complicated. I did not stay the course. So this year I'm going to stay the course. I'm not going to do anything different that I have been doing, and hopefully that means I won't go under like I did 2 years ago. Just going to stay the course, change nothing. So when we look at season to date metrics, the blender minus 132, this is all still beating the expected loss. The expected loss right now would be minus 32,000 or so. So this is all still beating the expected loss. Same with these metrics over here, but all of them are negative. But remember, that's keyless. Keyless moneyline metrics are still, ATM and dollar are still profitable on the year without keys. And I've still been riding those two keys primarily on money lines lately. Those are almost in all sets of keys I use on the money line side, and I'm not worried about them. Like I said, it's just that the favorites have not been winning enough like they should be. Standard error, the combo still leads the way, 9.18. ATM is in second place. Those are the two metrics you really want to be the lowest. All right, but let's try this. Let's see what happens when I filter out all games past January 13th, right? So all the games right here are the games played after January 13th, my peak. Now we're starting to get into questionable territory. The expected loss at this point would be minus 6,000, and look at this. Higher, 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 not as high, higher, not as high, higher, higher, higher. So all my key metrics against the spread are mostly worse than the expected loss. They're better on this side, at least outside of half. But there you go. That's the problem. If the keyless metrics are not beating the expected loss, then even with keys, it's not going to matter. For the most part, it can, but for the most part, you're digging yourself a big hole. On the money line side, keyless, beating expected loss on ATM and all the metrics. The money line really hasn't been the problem. Yes, it's lost more than the spread since January 13th, but the spread is what I'm worried about. The dollar, though, is still profitable over the past however many, 13 days or so, even without keys. So that's still a good thing, and this has kind of taken over as the key money line metric lately. So we'll see. But here's the eye-opener. The standard error for combo is 9.04 in the last 13 days. Before that, it was 9.18. So the standard error has gotten better in my model over the last 13 days. So what's the difference? Who knows? I mean, you could speculate a lot of things. You can say that the lines that the books are setting are just getting tighter and smarter with more games being played. They have more data to work off of, and they can set tighter lines. That might be the case. It just might be bad luck, you know? Teams just aren't covering and getting within where my model's predicting it to be. Another one that always worries me is like, how much do you weight more recent games in your model versus games played in November, right? Obviously, you want to know how a team's been playing lately. You want to give that more weight than teams that they played like on November 5th. But just how much do you weight those more recent games, right? It's really a chicken and egg situation. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So that's another thing right now. Are the models and metrics catching up to how teams are performing recently? So it's all questions you want to ask, but like I said, I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to stay the course and see how it goes and sink or swim based on the same approach I've been using all year. But don't be surprised if over the next week or two there's not a lot of plays, because like I said, the keys are so tight right now because the model's been doing so bad, it's hard to find any edges, but that might not be a bad thing. Wait for the model to regroup itself and find those profitable areas, and I think I can really get past the 69.9 unit mark that I peaked at on January 13th. I hope so, but we'll see. Just stay tuned to my Twitter at WCLEISS for my daily picks. But until then, this is Sports Betting Truth signing off. Can't wait for the Royal Rumble starting here in the next 30 minutes. I'll see you then.